Hey, Tony and Corey here in the Weekend Warriors workshop, and we're talking about truss joist I-Joist floor systems and how easy it is to put holes in them.
Not only is it easy, but you can put a whole bunch of holes in these as you're installing and preparing to run your utilities right through them.
Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Weekend Warriors Home Improvement Show, built by Parr Lumber. Your Weekend Warriors, Tony and Corey.
Today we're going to talk to you about how much you can customize a TJI when you're installing it in the home. There are rules and guidelines around how many holes or how much webbing you can take out, but you would be surprised. You can take out a lot more webbing than you think without compromising the integrity of the joist.
We've got Mike Bagley from Weyerhaeuser. You probably recognize him. He's back in the studio with us today. Let's talk about the first hole that I punched through here. This is called a knockout. You've colored them in with red marker.
They're 1.5 inch hole. These are 12 inches apart. They're pre-cut, edged into each joist, all the way length the whole joist. And the great thing is about all of those 1.5 inch holes, you can knock all of those out. That's great for your wiring, small conduit, piping, and we can talk about more holes besides these, but you can remove all of those out of this joist here.
So that makes it super easy for an electrician or a plumber to run their small diameter stuff through here, and you don't have to worry about anything.
Depending on the depth of the joist, they're about 2.5 inches up from the bottom flange. Your joist doesn't have a top or bottom. So the holes could be at the top of the joist or they could be at the bottom, just using those knockouts.
Okay.
What's the biggest hole you can put in a joist this size?
There's some rules you need to follow for a joist. You have what's called a no zone for cutting a hole. So that's 6 inches from where the joist is bearing at, the end bearing. So you have to go wherever that joist starts at the end of the bearing, 6 inches before you put in a hole. Here's the great thing. I already said the knockouts, they're already removed as far as the design values. So if there's a knockout in that no hole zone, you can still use it and knock that out of there.
Okay, no additional. That's the no additional hole zone.
No additional hole zone. So in a joist in the middle span, you can actually remove all of the web by just actually leaving only an 1/8 inch at the top and an 1/8 inch at the bottom.
Wow.
So, but where that hole goes, we have a hole chart for each size and series joist. So from 9.5 inch clear up to our 16 inch deep joist. So you can start getting some big holes. In our bigger series joists, you can actually put clear up to a 24 inch wide hole for HVAC system, for a rectangular ducting that runs through the joist.
There are some real benefits to running plumbing and HVAC in the joist in the floor, because this is a insulated space. So if you're holding your plumbing up in the floor and it's easy to do, you're definitely not worried about freezing pipes and that sort of a thing.
Yeah, the only other option is to do what's called softening down. You can build false ceiling that comes down, and it's called a soffit. A lot of people will do that. They'll run all of their HVAC lines in those soffits. Or you can run it in the crawl space, which is kind of the old-fashioned way to do it, or in the attic.
Tony, you were saying multiple holes. So some things to remember when you are putting in multiple holes. Let's say you have a 4 inch hole for your ABS pipe, for your toilet or bathtub or sink where the water needs to flow through. So you have your 4 inch hole in the joist. So a rule of thumb to remember, it's like, well, I have another pipe I need to run. So take that 4 inch hole, double that. So 4 inch, you need to be 8 inches to your next hole that's the same size or smaller. So just double the size of the hole, and then that's where you can put your next hole. Another thing to do, you need to keep that spacing apart. I've seen lots of jobs where you'll have a plumber, electrician, and they put all the holes in a row, which they're too close together. If you have different size holes for different products, making one bigger hole, thinking the size of the hole, but drill your 2 inch hole, your 3 inch hole, and your 1 inch hole in the one larger hole. You keep everything separated, but don't space them out. Keep them closer together.
Right. Perfect. That makes perfect sense. This is a 9.5 inch joist.
Correct.
I want a 6 inch hole in this 9.5 inch joist. And I know that the 9.5 includes the top and bottom flanges. So Can I get a 6-inch hole in this joist?
The best way to do it is go to our hole chart, which is very conservative numbers, but it'll tell you the depth of the joist and series number and how big of a hole you can put in that joist.
Okay.
So when I refer to the chart, set a 6-inch hole, I look at the 110 series. If I want to put that in this joist, I need to be 5 feet from the end bearing. So I start where that joist starts at its support, go in 5 feet, and that's where the edge of that 6-inch hole, and you can do that in a 110 series.
When we talk about allowable holes, we are only talking about the web. There's 3 components to every I-joist: the top flange, the bottom flange, and the web. You can only put holes in the web. There are no allowable holes that go into any of the top or bottom flange.
Let's get this out of here and bring up another product that we can put holes in.
So now we're looking at beams instead of our I-joist. So we have quite a few different sizes and options. We have our timber strand and we have our Parr Lam. You can also put holes in our beams. The thing to remember with beams though, these are not as forgivable as a joist for putting a hole. So in this large Parr Lam, the rules are you need to stay in the middle third of the beam and the middle third in the length of the beam from where the 2 end bearings are. And that is what's called your hole zone. Now, timber strand, also same rules, but timber strand has a higher shear value. It allows for a little larger hole zone as well as a larger diameter hole. And we also manufacture a beam microlam, which our flanges are made out of in our joists.
And the microlam and Parr Lam guidelines also covered in the hole chart.
Yes, the same hole chart that our TJI hold guide is in also has a guide for beams.
It's always a good idea to look at the allowable hole chart that we'll link down below. But if you want to copy this, let us know. You can email us at weekendwarriors@parr.com, or you can go to wy.com. That's where all this information is, but it's very simple, easy to read instructions on where and where you cannot put a hole.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons down below and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our new videos.
And check out the Weekend Warriors Home Improvement Show wherever you listen to your podcasts.
We'll see you next time.